So everything I've done so far in my life, I was always working in high-end picture post, more or less, right? This is the world I worked in. But now, I really had to understand how could anybody, I mean, even like your neighbor who every now and then posts a YouTube video, how could they benefit from this wonderful technology? And that was really what was obsessing me a lot, that's really where I'm looking right now with version 4. Where I really want to take this is in a direction of agentic workflows where high-end posts can you see I'm still in high-end post, I'm not moving away from that, but where they can just get things done in one go, like automate the boring stuff, but also that we can introduce this technology to mobile phones, to people who are who don't have a patience to spend years learning color grading, but want to use AI as a shortcut. That's really like my kind of understanding that this is a potential, because I think every human can look at an image and can say, oh, this is looking good or bad, right? Now, everybody has got a different taste to what's good, right? But that kind of looking good or bad, in general, most humanity agrees. Most humanity has enough understanding or feeling when they look at an image, if it's good looking or bad looking image. And you have to just understand that most people can't explain why something's looking good or bad. They can't necessarily tell you why they think this image is better than the other, right? They can't, but they can just look at something and be wowed or in awe with something, And really, this is where most of my research has been going, because, there is one thing, to develop a technology, but there is also another thing to understand the humanity, to understand, how we operate, how our brain operates, how our, neurons connect, and what, looking at an images, at stories really does to us. And this is an incredibly fascinating, part of research that goes deep into the neuroscience. And the neuroscience, by the way, is as exciting as AI. There is as much new things we're discovering about neurons and brain every day as much as we are discovering about deep neural networks. And I think, for me, that combining these two science is like, is really what, is missing in color. We have this huge amount of experience and knowledge that we, did over the decades of working in film production. And a lot of that was developed intuitively or was taught from person to person, but we never quite understood why we chose to make movies to look in a certain way. We just know that people would really like the way how we made movies look, right? All these jobs that I worked on, I know that the audience was liking it. They would say, this is really looking good. But we never quite understood which elements of that look or that image is kind of directly connected to your brain reacting positively to it. And that's now what we're starting to understand. And interestingly, and this is also a kind of fascinating thing, why I'm so also obsessed with traditional analog film, is the fact that when Kodak was trying to do the same, when they basically made a color film, and they tried to simplify this process of color film processing so that it can be mass produced, first of all, but it also can be used by everybody who's not a professional photographer. that people can take photos of their families and they look at those photos and they like the way these photos look. And there was no retouching, no adjusting. It would be just a machine that would take your negative and with a standard setting would process it. And if you look at those photos, they look nothing like reality. I mean, the product definitely didn't try to give us realistically looking photos. They were definitely, making photos, with a distinct style. And the choice of that style turns out was not random. They have discovered why people would like images that look like that more than something else through psychology. And so you see like a kind of, I find this, very similar kind of what we're trying to do is that we're trying to take a product that was used by kind of Haim Post and adapt it so that anybody can really benefit from it, that anybody can look at their images and be able to communicate better through that. And we are so dependent on videos today in a way how we communicate with the outside world. Each one of us has got some social media channels, and each one of them is exposing themselves, to the world. And many have chosen to use this method of artistic expression, or as their business, as the main source of income. And it's crazy, but YouTube today generates more revenue, than all TV and film production combined spend on their production. So like if you take all the TV production in the US, all the film production in the US, and you combine the money spent on producing that content, YouTube generates more revenue than that. It's crazy. So there is basically, we have made ourselves really dependent on image and image quality. And we definitely are not interested in learning and spending years of how to do it like professional colorists do in Hollywood. But we do know that we would like our images to look better than they look right now. So it's a great parallel there, and this is really what keeps me awake at night. This is really where my focus is at the moment, and what I enjoy researching and discovering.